If you've ever asked yourself, why did she say that? Then do the opposite. This video is your answer. Women speak to protect themselves, not to reveal themselves. Their language is emotional camouflage. That's why you can't win by listening harder. You win by observing deeper. The moment you stop chasing clarity in her words and start reading her behavior, everything shifts. You stop guessing. You stop being confused. And you finally see what she really wants, even when she can't admit it herself. Men keep falling for language. They hear what a woman says and instantly assume it's truth. But here's the thing. Her words are not a window into her mind. They're a shield, a layer of smoke between what she feels and what she's willing to admit. In modern society, women are trained to say what sounds right, not what's real. They grow up learning to filter every statement through how it will be judged, by friends, by social media, by the world. When she says, "I want a kind man who listens," it's rarely a confession. It's a performance. What she actually means is closer to, "I want a man I can respect." A man strong enough to listen without losing himself. Words are safety. They let her sound good, stay likable, avoid criticism. But actions, those are unfiltered. When a woman says one thing and does another, she's not lying to you. She's lying to herself. Because deep down, her biology doesn't care about how things sound. It only responds to what makes her feel. That's why you'll hear her preach about loyalty, then flirt with chaos. You'll see her post quotes about good men, then spend her nights chasing attention from the ones she can't tame. Her words describe her ideal self, the image she wants the world to believe in. Her actions reveal her true self, the emotional creature driven by desire, status, and instinct. Every time you take her words literally, you enter her illusion. You start negotiating with a mask, and that's the fastest way to lose control, because you're no longer responding to reality, you're responding to her script. Behavioral psychology calls this the social defense mechanism. Humans, and especially women, use language to manage perception. It's not malicious, it's adaptive. But for men, it becomes a trap. You start believing that decoding her words will unlock her heart. It won't. Because her words were never the map to begin with. If you really want to understand a woman, don't analyze what she says. Observe what she repeats. Watch how she behaves when she's not performing, when no one's watching, when she doesn't think you're paying attention. That's when the truth leaks through. A woman might say she values honesty, but if she only responds to the thrill of danger, her nervous system already made the choice. She might tell you she wants a dependable man, but if she lights up only around those who challenge her, that's the data you trust. Men lose power not because they lack effort, but because they trust words over evidence. Remember this. Her words are the story she tells the world. Her actions are the confession she tells herself. Words are her mask. Actions are her truth. From the time a boy learns to speak, he's told one thing. Listen to women. Respect their feelings. Hear them out. Don't interrupt. And so he grows up believing that listening means understanding. But that belief becomes a trap. Because when you take a woman's words at face value, you stop noticing the contradictions that reveal who she really is. Most men don't realize this. Women speak through emotion, not precision. Their language is fluid, responsive to the moment, shaped by mood and context. What she says at 9 a.m. might not be what she feels at 9 p.m. Yet you, the logical man, treat her sentences as laws written in stone. You analyze every text, every word, every maybe, searching for certainty, when she herself isn't certain. That's how men get lost. She says, "I'm not ready for a relationship," and you back off respectfully. 3 weeks later, she's dating another guy. You feel betrayed, but what happened isn't betrayal. It's biology. When she said those words, she believed them. But then someone triggered a new emotional response, and her behavior followed that. not the speech she gave you. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, the tension between what we say and what we do. Women resolve that tension by rewriting their story, not by confronting it. They rationalize the new action and move on. Men, on the other hand, internalize it, assuming they did something wrong. This is the invisible manipulation of language. Not because she's scheming, but because her words naturally filter reality through feeling. Every "I don't know," every "I'm just confused" is an emotional snapshot, not a stable truth. And here's where men lose ground. You think listening will earn trust. You think agreeing will earn connection. But what actually earns both is your ability to stay grounded while her words shift. Never let a woman's language pull you out of observation mode. Don't argue with her contradictions. Map them. If she says she hates drama but lives in it, don't correct her. Note it. If she says she wants peace but keeps chasing tension, don't confront. Remember. Your advantage isn't in debating her version of reality. It's in seeing how her actions rewrite it. You can't out-talk a woman who speaks from emotion, but you can out-observe her by detaching from the noise of words and focusing on patterns. The moment you stop expecting her words to match her feelings, you reclaim your clarity. And with clarity comes control. Because here's the truth. Every word she speaks is filtered through emotion. If you listen instead of observe, you'll always be one step behind. Every man has heard it. Women want a nice guy, so he becomes one. He listens, he compliments, he supports, he waits. He gives without asking, forgives without boundaries, and thinks patience will turn into desire. But she doesn't fall for him. She thanks him. She trusts him. She even says, "You're such a good man." Then she walks away and gives her body, her energy, her chaos to a man who doesn't treat her half as well. This is the paradox of the nice guy. He believes kindness equals attraction, but in reality, kindness without edge equals predictability, and predictability kills desire. Here's what most men never understand. Attraction is not built through safety. It's built through tension. A woman's emotional system is wired for stimulation, not comfort. When she feels too safe, too certain, too in control, her instincts turn off. She starts to feel like the man in the relationship. That's why the bad boy wins, not because he's cruel, but because he's unpredictable, assertive, and emotionally autonomous. He doesn't wait for permission to be desired. He creates it by leading the emotional rhythm. Let's look at it from a behavioral perspective. When you're nice in the hope of being liked, you're not giving, you're negotiating. You're saying, "I'll give you this comfort, this attention, this loyalty in exchange for validation." And women sense that trade instantly. It feels weak. It smells like fear. Now, contrast that with a man who doesn't chase approval. He gives when he wants to. He withholds when it's needed. He's capable of empathy, but not addicted to being liked. That tension, that sense that she can't fully predict him, keeps her emotionally engaged. She respects him because she can't fully control him. There's a story that repeats itself endlessly. A man meets a woman and thinks, "If I just prove I'm different from other guys, she'll see my value." So he becomes the emotional butler of her life. He listens, comforts, helps her move furniture, fixes her problems. And when she finally feels whole again, she leaves. Not out of cruelty, but because she no longer feels drawn. He didn't lose because he wasn't enough. He lost because he was too easy to predict. In attraction, uncertainty is oxygen. A woman doesn't crave comfort. She craves emotional gravity. She wants a man who makes her feel safe but keeps her guessing. She wants a man she can respect more than she can explain. So when she says, "I want a nice guy," hear it for what it is, a social script, not a desire. What she truly wants is strength wrapped in calm, not submission wrapped in smiles. Never confuse kindness with weakness. True power isn't in being agreeable. It's in being grounded enough to stay kind without losing your edge. She doesn't crave comfort. She craves the man she can't control. There's a hidden mechanism in every woman. A mental switch that determines whether she resists a man or devotes herself to him. I call it the good girl switch. And here's the truth most men never learn. You can't force it, you can't beg for it, and you can't buy it. You either trigger it or you don't. When a man earns a woman's admiration, something changes inside her. Her resistance fades, her nurturing instinct awakens, and she begins to want to give. Not because he demanded it, but because he commands it through presence. She starts cooking for him. She softens her tone. She becomes generous with affection and intimacy, and she doesn't do it out of obligation, she does it out of pride. Because pleasing a man she respects makes her feel more feminine. Most men try to earn this reaction by overgiving. Gifts, compliments, constant availability. But that never works, because the good girl switch only flips in the presence of a man she admires, not one she pities. A man who overcompensates looks like he's seeking approval, not expressing value. When a woman senses true masculine stability, calm dominance, grounded energy, direction without arrogance, her subconscious relaxes. That's when she feels safe enough to express her femininity. And femininity, at its core, is the instinct to give. Here's what's fascinating from a psychological point of view. Women are not happiest when they're being served. They're happiest when they're serving someone they respect. It activates a deep emotional pattern, the feeling of purpose, belonging, and emotional polarity. Contrast two men. The first one cooks, cleans, listens, does everything right. He's hoping that if he does enough, she'll finally appreciate him. The second man doesn't try to prove anything. He expects effort in return for his presence. He leads. He gives when it feels right, not when it's expected. She finds herself wanting to do more for him, to cook, to care, to please. Because through him, she reconnects with her feminine energy, and it feels good. That's why so many women who claim they want equality still find themselves happiest with a man who leads. It's not hypocrisy, it's biology. The good girl switch isn't about dominance, it's about polarity. Without polarity, there's no attraction, no passion, no emotional gravity. A woman doesn't become submissive out of weakness. She becomes nurturing when she feels she's in the presence of a man strong enough to hold space for her emotions without collapsing. Men who understand this stop chasing compliance. They build respect first, and affection follows naturally. You don't have to tell her to be good to you. You just have to make her want to. Because in the end, a woman doesn't submit to love. She submits to respect. There's a specific type of man women keep around but never touch. He's thoughtful, loyal, always available. He listens when she cries about another guy, gives her advice, and tells himself, one day she'll see I'm the one. But that day never comes. Because the moment you become her emotional cushion, you stop being her emotional trigger. And attraction doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in tension. Women often tell men, be patient, be nice, be her friend first. But that advice isn't meant to make you irresistible. It's meant to make you harmless. It keeps you safe to talk to, safe to lean on, but never dangerous enough to desire. That's the essence of the friend zone. She trusts you like family, but feels nothing primal toward you. Here's the psychological reason behind it. Female attraction is tied to polarity, the electric difference between masculine and feminine energy. When a man suppresses his sexual presence to appear safe, he unconsciously erases that polarity. He becomes neutral, emotionally flat, predictable, easy to manage. To her nervous system, that reads as no spark. Think about it. The man she complains about, the one who gives her headaches, also gives her butterflies. He frustrates her, challenges her, disrupts her calm. And that disruption keeps her emotionally engaged. It's the paradox most men never grasp. What irritates her also ignites her. Now compare that to the perfect gentleman. He does everything right, remembers birthdays, pays attention, shows up every time she calls. But because there's no tension, no challenge, she starts to see him as emotional background noise. The attraction fades before it ever begins. When she says, "You're such a good friend," that's not an invitation. It's a boundary. It means she feels safe around you because she doesn't have to navigate desire. It's not a compliment. It's the closing of a door. This is where most men fail, by taking female advice literally. When a woman tells you, "Just be patient, she'll come around," what she's really saying is, "Do the safe thing I would recommend if I were you." But that version of you isn't the man she desires. It's the version that makes her comfortable. You can't nice your way into attraction. Desire isn't negotiated through kindness. It's provoked through contrast. Men who escape the friend zone don't do it by trying harder. They do it by pulling back, by reclaiming polarity. They stop being her emotional service provider and start being the man she has to earn access to. Because here's the truth. Every time you act like her friend, you erase her desire. You reinforce the dynamic where she gives you validation instead of attraction. The only way to change that is to stop playing the role she wrote for you and start embodying the man she can't fully read. You don't need her permission to stop being her friend. You just need the courage to stop being predictable. By now, you've seen the pattern. What women say is often just a projection, an echo of what they want to believe about themselves. But what they do, that's where the truth hides. Most men keep asking the wrong question. What does she mean by that? A smarter man asks, what does she consistently do? Because no matter how complicated her words get, her behavior never lies for long. The first step to decoding women is simple. Stop reacting, start observing. Silence is your microscope. It reveals what her language tries to blur. There are 3 levels of female behavior every man should learn to read. Level 1, immediate reaction. When you enter a room, where do her eyes go first? Does her body face toward you or away? Does her tone lift when she speaks to you, or does it stay flat? Attraction shows up in milliseconds through eye contact, posture, micro-expressions. If she's drawn to you, her physiology betrays her before her words can intervene. Level 2, consistency. This is where most men fail. She says she's busy, but still watches your stories. She says she's not ready, but texts you late at night. She says she wants honesty, but disappears when you give it. Patterns always tell the truth. When her actions and her language don't align, trust the pattern, not the excuse. Level 3, investment. Who's moving the story forward, you or her? Does she reach out first? Does she plan things? Does she try to reconnect when you pull back? A woman's investment is the clearest metric of interest. When she truly cares, she invests her time, her effort, her emotional energy. When she doesn't, she replaces you with attention from somewhere else. Most men ignore these signals because they're busy chasing verbal reassurance. They want her to say she cares. But attraction isn't spoken. It's acted. It's in the way she leans closer when you speak. It's in the tone she reserves only for you. It's in the small acts of effort that no one told her to make. Learning to decode behavior isn't about control. It's about clarity. When you stop taking words personally, you stop being emotionally manipulated. You no longer need to guess. You see her patterns for what they are: information. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Don't chase clarity in her words. Read her patterns. Stop analyzing her speeches and start tracking her consistency. Actions are data. Emotions are variables. The man who studies patterns never gets blindsided. Once you master observation, you gain emotional freedom. You stop asking, "Does she like me?" because her behavior already answered. You stop chasing confirmation because you've seen the evidence. And when you operate from evidence, not emotion, you become the one in control. Her words can confuse you. Her tone can soften you. But her behavior, it tells you everything. You just have to be still enough to see it. Everything you've just heard comes down to one truth. Women don't deceive men. Men deceive themselves. They hear words, ignore evidence, and then wonder why reality hurts. A woman's words are not her promise. They're her poetry. Beautiful, emotional, inconsistent. Her actions, on the other hand, are primal. They reveal instinct, desire, and emotional truth far beyond anything she'll admit out loud. You'll never control what a woman says. You'll never decode every sentence or every mood swing. But you can master the only thing that matters: your ability to see clearly, to stop reacting to her emotions and start observing her patterns. That's where your power begins. When you operate from evidence, you stop living in confusion. You no longer need to chase reassurance. You no longer negotiate your worth. You simply watch, and the truth reveals itself. Here's what most men never realize. You don't have to confront her when her words and actions don't match. You don't have to punish her, argue, or demand honesty. You just have to stay calm, stay grounded, and watch. Her consistency will answer everything, because the truth always exposes itself to those who wait in silence. So next time she says one thing and does another, don't react, observe. You're not losing control, you're reclaiming it. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe. Because once you start decoding women instead of obeying them, you stop being confused and start being in control. That's the real awakening. Not resentment, not revenge, but clarity. Remember this line and keep it close. Words are polite. Actions are primal. Words can charm you. Actions will reveal you. Don't trust what she says. Watch what she does, and you'll never be fooled again.